In these 9 days, Navaratra, we try to meditate or we try to worship the Divine Mother in these three forms as Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. Meditate or try to understand the significance of the advent of the Mother Shakti in our life, which is very important for a sadhaka. Recognition of the power of the divine, of Shakti, is extremely important. Even Shankaracharya, after writing the bhashyas for all the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutra and writing other scriptures, he was forced to admit that without the Divine Mother's intervention, or without the Divine Mother accepting the Divine Mother as an essential part of our life, the sadhana would be incomplete. In the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we find an interesting incident. Those of you who have read the life of Sri Ramakrishna know it very well. Sri Ramakrishna began as a worshipper of Mother Kali. So he was initiated into the Kali mantra, and then slowly he practiced the sadhanas of different denominations of Hinduism, like the Vaishnava Tantra, then the Rama, the worship of Sri Rama, and then the Tantra, that is the Shakta Tantra, and ultimately and the Sufism, as well as at the end, he also met with Totapuri, his guru, who initiated him into the Advaita Sadhana. As he was practicing the Advaita Sadhana, he had difficulty in removing the form of the Divine Mother from his heart. So as soon as he would sit for meditation, the form of the Divine Mother would appear in front of him and he would start talking to her. Just as we are talking to each other, in the same way, he could talk to the Divine Mother. So Sri Ramakrishna, as soon as he would sit for meditation on formless divine, his mind would soar into heights of his realization that he had of the Divine Mother, and he would start conversing with her. This was distracting. So Totapuri, he said, "Can't you remove the Divine Mother from your psyche? Can't you remove her?" He said, "Well, I cannot. All the time I am only reminded of her." Then Totapuri took a piece of glass that was lying on the ground, and then he thrust it between his eyebrows. Naturally, it started bleeding and he has pain. And then he said, "Meditate upon the pain. And as the Divine Mother's form comes, you take the sword of jnana and cut her into half." It was difficult for Sri Ramakrishna, but he did as his guru taught him, and immediately his mind soared into the realm of the non-dual plane, Advaita Bhumi, and he was there in that state for 3 days and 3 nights. Now, Totapuri was very much amazed that what took him 40 years took the Ramakrishna only a couple of days to realize. Anyway, Totapuri continued to stay in Dakshineshwar, but he would not accept this aspect of the Divine Mother. So he would make fun of Sri Ramakrishna when Sri Ramakrishna would sing the name of the Divine Mother and would clap his hands, and then he would say, "Kya roti thokta hai? Are you making rotis by clapping your hands?" That is what Totapuri used to say. But then Sri Ramakrishna used to smile and say, well, a time will come when you will have to also accept my mother. Soon it happened. Totapuri had a colic pain and it was terrible and he could not bear it anymore. The person who always said, I am not the body, I am not the mind, now could not withstand the pain at all. And there is a vidhi, or there is a tradition amongst the sannyasins. It is approved by Manu, the lawgiver, that if a sannyasin, after having realized or wants to give up his body, he can give up his body either in the Ganga or in a sacred river, or by falling from a cliff, or by immolating oneself in fire. This is not considered as suicide in religious parlance. Yes, maybe in social parlance it might be considered as such, because the utility of the body is complete, therefore over. Therefore, it doesn't have to do that anymore. It does keep that anymore. So, at that day, early in the morning, the next day, when it was still very dark, Totapuri decided, because he couldn't sleep the whole night, he said, let me go and give up this body. So he went and he stepped into the Ganga from the Panchavati Ghat, and he went on walking into the river, and he walked and walked and walked. It was almost 1.5 kilometers to the other side of the shore, and he went and he walked, and still there was not enough water to drown him. So he went and he got up on the other side, and he was amazed and said, "Ye kya daivi maya hai? What is this Maya?" So he was amazed by it. This must be the play of the Divine Mother. And so it is said that he came back, and as soon as he accepted, yes, one has to accept the play of the Divine Mother, the Shakti in one's life. As soon as he accepted, all that colic pain and everything disappeared. And then he told Sri Ramakrishna, well, this was the last piece of sadhana that I had to perform, that is recognizing the Divine Mother as as Prakriti, as the one who is the creator of the universe. Now that my learning is also complete, I have taught you and I have also learned from you. Now I shall go my way. And so he went away from that. This is to say that the presence of the Divine Mother, or the necessity of understanding the power of the Divine as Shakti, is very important for all sadhakas, all spiritual aspirants. This Devi Mahatmya, it is called as the Durga Saptashati, which comes in the Markandeya Puran. It describes the march of our soul to our destination. And this is, in this Navaratri context, that's 9 days that we are following, which culminates in Dashahara or Dasera. This play of the journey of the soul is enacted, as it were, in these 9 days. There are 3 forces in the world, spiritual world at least. One is the force of Lakshmi. Lakshmi is both the remover of material obstacles and also the grantor of success or fullness in life. That is Lakshmi. Then we have Saraswati. We worship Saraswati as the remover of ignorance and of the grantor of giver of knowledge. And then we also worship the Divine Mother as Kali, that is remover of all attachments and grantor of final emancipation, destroyer of all bondages. In these 9 days, the Devi or the Divine Mother is worshipped for 3 days in one form. For 3 days as Mahakali, for 3 days as Mahalakshmi, and for 3 days as Mahasaraswati. So in this Devi Mahatmya, which is a part of Markandeya Puran, it consists of 13 chapters, and they are grouped as the Prathama Charitra, Madhyama Charitra, and Uttama Charitra. Prathama Charitra, Madhyama Charitra, and Uttama Charitra. In the Bhagavad Gita also, we find the same type of classification. The Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are divided into 3 segments. The first 6 chapters, Tat, and then the next 6 chapters, Tvam, and then the final 3 chapters deal with Asi. Tat, Tvam, Asi. This Mahavakya is used as the guide for the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. So 3 is indicative of the march of our being or our soul. So if we take our own life, though there are minor steps or minor ones, these 3 segments are there in our life. The first segment consists of childhood, and the second segment consists of youth, and the third segment consists of the old age or old age. Yes. So these 3 steps are there everywhere, and this the scriptures point out to us the necessity to divinize all these 3 steps, all these 3 stages. In the childhood also, we must try to divinize ourselves. In youth, we must also divinize whatever circumstances are there, we connect it with the divine. And in old age also, even the pleasure and pain and etc. that we have, that also must be connected with the divine. So when we study the scriptures, these 3 segments always occur. Prathama, that means the first, and then the Madhyama, the middle stage, and then Uttama, the final stage. So these are as if they are 3 landings in the steps. There is a staircase and there are 3 landings. So these 3 landings are presided by these 3 deities in us. Saraswati, for example, childhood and all that, Saraswati is the landing. And Lakshmi, during the householder stage or in our age between 30 and 60, that is represented by Lakshmi, and then afterwards it is represented by Kali. We need to connect with many things in our life. Spiritual life is a life wherein you connect with your own self and also with the world outside. Real spirituality is where there is harmony within as well as harmony outside. It is just not enough to have harmony within. You must also have harmony outside with the world, with the environment, with people and so on, so forth. So these are represented in these 4 stages of life: Brahmacharya, Garhasthya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. So these 4 stages which we are all aware of: the student stage, Brahmacharya, the householder stage, then the retired stage, and then Sannyasa, that is the ultimate stage where you give up everything. Now the Devi Mahatmya, which is the topic that I have taken today, these 3 stages of transformation is mentioned over there. So I will just go through a little bit of the story with you. So it starts with the Divine Mother, Mahakali, she wakes up Mahavishnu. Vishnu is lying on the ocean and he is fast asleep. Vishnu represents the sattva within us. Vishnu is the divine, the sattvic nature of all beings. So he is asleep. That means he has been overpowered by tamas. He has been overpowered by sleep, the tamas. So when that happens, what happens? Within his ear, there is the earwax, which is called as mala. So this earwax, it converts itself into two demons, Madhu and Kaitaba. I will come to the meaning of Madhu and Kaitaba soon. So now as Mahakali had to take the effort to wake up Vishnu, as it were, and then ask him to slay these two demons, because it came from himself and it has to be slayed by him only. That is to say that all the passions, all the kama, krodha, lobha, these three things, that means desire and then anger and greed or avarice, all these have to be conquered by our own selves. Sattva has to overpower them. That is the idea. And then in the second stage, we see in the Devi Mahatmya that the Shakti manifests herself as Mahalakshmi. She overcomes these two very dangerous demons, Mahishasur and Raktabij, these two. And then in the third stage, we see the destruction of Shumbha and Nishumbha. The Mahasaraswati, she destroys Shumbha and Nishumbha. So in these 9 days, Navaratra, we try to meditate or we try to worship the Divine Mother in these three forms as Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati. Now, 9, after the number 9, what do you enter into? We enter into infinity actually. After, there is no numerical called 10. If you have studied maths, you know it very well. So only numericals are from, numbers are only 1 from 9. So this whole universe, as it were, revolves within this 9, and which is a multiple of 3. 3 times 3, 9. So therefore, this, once you transcend this world of 9, so to say, this world of diversity, then where do you reach? You reach to infinity. That means you transcend time after 9. That is why Dashahara, we call it Dasara, is Dashahara. Das means 10. Hara means that which destroys all the 9. Dashahara. That means it removes all the weaknesses within us and will take us to the highest realization on the 10th day. So coming to this story of the Devi Mahatmya, the lower powers that are within ourselves are like dirt. Now it says, Vishnu Karna Malodbhutau Hantum Brahmanam Udyatau. Vishnu Karna Malodbhutau. That means this mala, that means this dirt. From this dirt came out these two asuras, or these two demons called the Madhu and the Kaitaba. So, what is mala? Mala means dirt. Sri Krishna, since we are all students of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna mentions that Kama Yesha, Krodha Yesha, Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha, Mahashano, Mahapatma, Vidyenam iha vairinam. Says these two things are to be guarded. Have to be aware of. What is it? Kama. That means desires. Krodha. That means anger. Kama yesha, krodha yesha, rajo guna samudbhava. Where does this come from? From the rajas. Rajo guna samudbhava. And what is rajas? Rajas is intense action. Always active. Always active. Mahashanaha mahapapma. That means this one gobbles up all of your goodness. And mahapapma. These are your enemies, papma, that which leads you to sin. So this kama and krodha has to be controlled. If those are controlled, then lobha will not be there. Lobha will run away. If kama and krodha is not there, then lobha will run away. So now coming to the story of the Vishnu Karna Malodbhuta, the Madhu and Kaitaba. Now this Madhu means honey. Kita means what is Kita? Insect. Kita is insect. Insect of the honey, and that is bee. What is the nature of the bee? The honey bees? The nature of honey bee is that it keeps on working. Constant work. Keeps on working hard to accumulate that honey. But unfortunately, it is not intelligent to think of the higher things or to go for anything more than that. They are always busy. In our life also, this is what is happening. We are always working. Where to? What to reach? No, we don't know. We think we are going to have some happiness, but as soon as we catch hold of that happiness, it will run away. So this is we are all signifying the Madhu and Kaitava, Madhu Kait. So the bee, honeybees, we are always doing that. Now, Vishnu, as I said earlier, is symbolic of this Sattva Guna. But when the Sattva Guna goes to sleep, as it were, when the Sattva Guna is covered with Tamas or covered by Tamas, then the Sattva, unfortunately, does not realize what it is in for. So there is goodness in all of us. Every one of us has got tremendous goodness. But due to the mala or due to the dirt, it is covered, and therefore we are not able to see that divine that is very much within ourselves. Therefore, the ability to do work is very good. But being a slave of work, slave of action is no good at all. Swami Vivekananda says, be a master, not a slave. A slave does not enjoy work, but a master enjoys work. So we need to be aware of it. Now, when these Madhu and Kaitaba, the bees, they come out of the ears of Vishnu, they see something. That is, they see a lotus flower on which is seated Brahma. Lotus flower. Now, bees go and collect honey from the lotus flower. So what did these two, Madhu and Kaitapa, do? They went and they wanted to topple down Brahma, the creator, and then get the honey from underneath him. But Brahma was resisting. But these Madhu and Kaitaba were very adamant. They wanted the honey. Therefore, they started a fight with Brahma. Now, Brahma was not that strong, because he was meditating, and his main occupation was the dissemination of knowledge. Therefore, he prayed to Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, wake up, wake up, wake up. Your own Madhu and Kaitaba, they are destroying, they have come to destroy me. But Vishnu was not aware of anything at all. So that is to say that when the ignorance, Brahma symbolizes the Vedas, that is knowledge, and when ignorance tries to attack knowledge, the only savior is the Sattva Guna within us, or the Sattva that is within us, the divine. We have to take refuge in the divine. So, this in this Devi Bhagavata, Devi Mahatmya, we come across this expression that now the Devi or Mahakali wakes Vishnu up, and as he wakes up, he is told that Madhu and Kaitava are attacking Brahma. So Vishnu wakes up, and there is a battle between Vishnu and Madhu Kaitava for 5,000 years. It's representing that even though you are Sattvic, but yet these forces become so formidable that Sattva is not sufficient enough for you to do that. Then after a long fight, this Madhu and Kaitava, they fold their hands to Vishnu and say, "Oh Lord, now we have tried our very best to protect ourselves, but it appears that we have to be killed. But we have one request." What is that request? Well, that request is that you can kill us, but you cannot kill us in water. Now they were intelligent. Vishnu was lying on the ocean, and there is water and water everywhere. There was no land at that time because there was no creation. So these two of them, they were intelligent enough to say to him, "No, if you want to kill us, please do so, but kill us where there is no water." Then Vishnu thought for a little while, and he said, "All right, I know where there is no water." So he said, "My thigh represents Agni, that means fire." Apparently, according to the Hindu cosmology, the 5 elements, they manufacture the different parts of the body, and the thigh is manufactured by the god of fire. So Agni Deva. So they said, "All right, now you come and I will kill you where there is no water." So he takes Madhu and Kaitaba, and they enter into his thigh, and there the Madhu and Kaitaba are destroyed. That is to say, the fire, tapas, is the only way that you can get rid of the Kama and Krodha. Kama and Krodha represents the Madhu and Kaitaba. Kama and Krodha can be destroyed, eliminated by tapas alone. Tapa means heat, fire. So where there is fire, there cannot be any insects, which we all know. Then after getting rid of Madhu and Kaitaba, of course the creation begins, etc. Then we find the Devi, she also had to get rid of 2 very dangerous asuras or demons, Mahishasura and Rakta Bija. Mahishasura was a demon who could take different forms. He could take the form of a human being, he could take the form of an elephant, he could take the form of a buffalo, and so on and so forth. Many forms he could take. So he could change his forms. That means he covers his original form. This is called in Vedanta as Avarana Shakti, that which covers you. Now, Devi, as Mahishasura also had got a boon from Lord Shiva to say that he should not be killed by a man, and that he should be only killed by a woman. The thought in those days was that a woman can never kill anyone, and that only a man can kill. So therefore, the Divine had to take the form of the Divine Mother to kill this Mahishasura. Now, this war also goes for a very long time with Mahishasura, this Avarana Shakti, and at the end, the Divine Mother slays this Mahishasura. After him comes another great demon called Rakta Bija. Rakta is blood, Bija is the seeds. So Rakta Bija had obtained a boon to say that wherever even a drop of his blood fell, there would be another Rakta Bija would form over there. So as soon as his hand would be cut off, there would be many more Rakta Bijas, because so many drops have fallen. His head is cut off, so many more Rakta Bijas have come. So instead of one, the Devi had to fight with many of the Rakta Bijas. This is representative of Vikshepa Shakti. Vikshepa means that which distracts, that which covers, and that which transforms, rather, not distracts, that which transforms. Vikshepa. Vishesha Kshipati iti Vikshepa. That which throws out something else in its place. Something else in its place. That's what happens to us. We sit for meditation, for example, we want to think upon the Divine. Except the Divine, all other thoughts would come into our mind. This is called the Vikshepa Shakti of the Divine Mother. So, what does the Divine Mother do? She asks Kali to spread her tongue all over the earth. So when the description comes in the Devi Mahatmya, wherein when she spread her tongue, Rakta Bija was being killed, many more were being born, and then the Devi, as Mahakali, would crush everyone, everything, including the chariots and their drivers, everything into pieces, and would gobble them up, so to say. So all of them, Rakta Bija and his whole army was gobbled up by the Divine Mother. That is to say that when this Avarana and Vikshepa Shakti, Avarana is that which covers, and Vikshepa is that which throws out something, that which disseminates, that which throws out. When these two are conquered, then real peace can be achieved. So these are the two stories that we come across, and there is the third story also. We come across a third story. That third story is of the Shumbha and Nishumbha. Shumbha and Nishumba, also they were also demons, and they also needed to be. They were strong, but their weakness was that they were enamored by things. See, for a sadhaka, we might have got over the kama and krodha, that means lust and greed, etc. We might have conquered all of that. But moha will still remain. That means this moha, that means enamoring. I see something and I am enamored by it. I am not greedy about it, but I am enamored by it. That means I want to see it again and again. I want to see it again and again. There was this disciple of Sri Ramanujacharya in Kanchipuram. Sri Ramanuj, this person, he was then not a disciple. This person was so enamored by his wife, that she used to go to the town with her maids and all that, and they would hold an umbrella. And this man had was so much enamored by her that he would walk backwards looking at her face. He was looking at her face and he was walking backwards. Ramanujacharya was going towards the temple at Kanchipuram, and then he sees this sight. He said, "What is happening to this gentleman? He is walking behind and he is beholding." In South India, they have this tradition of pradakshina, uruvalam they call it. So generally, the worshipper, he is walking backwards looking at the deity, and then and then others, of course, lead him to walk backwards. So here, a live woman is there in front and he is looking at. So Ramanujacharya sent for him and he said, "What is it that you are looking at?" He said, "Can you see the beauty of this lady? And I am enamored by her, sir." Then Ramanuja says, "Well, if I show you a face that is much more beautiful than this, would you give this madness up and come?" He said, "Well, there cannot be any other, but since you are a saint, I will accept your words and I want to see who is more beautiful than this lady." So the story goes that Ramanuja takes him to the Ranganatha shrine of the Lord Ranganatha there in Kanchipuram and shows him, and he beholds the wonderful face and the eyes of the Lord, and he is totally enamored by the Lord. And of course, the thought of going back completely disappears from his mind. So this moha can be given up by Guru Kripa, or the grace of the divine. So for a sadhaka, this Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati, these three signify the destructive aspect and also the aspect which grants you whatever you need for your sadhana life and grants you total mukti or total knowledge. So through this whole being must be transformed, or transformation of the beings will happen. So it's all hard work, there is no doubt about that. There is a lot of rubbing and cleaning, washing, and then scrubbing, etc. Everything is there. So in the first stage, the Mahakali brings about the destruction of all barriers. It's very painful. Then what happens? There is tremendous inner prosperity, inner beauty is achieved. Then you become a master of your own being, and you can command all the powers that is within you. All power is within you, says Swami Vivekananda. You have to muster it up, you must bring it out. That is the second stage of mustering up all of your powers, recognizing your powers, asking it to come to your aid. And then comes the final, that is the Mahasaraswati stage, wherein you have full knowledge and bliss. Knowledge and bliss will be ours. Now this Devi Mahatmya, how much time do we have? 6:15, another 15 minutes. Okay. Now, this Devi Mahatmya that I was mentioning is not just an esoteric scripture. In Tantra, there is this method of teaching us through stories and through mythology the highest truths of spiritual life. So this Devi Mahatmya itself is like a mantra, as it were. There is one instance that is normally given over there. The first sloka, the first verse that occurs in the Devi Mahatmya is Savarni Suryatanayo Yo Manuhu Katyate Ashtamaha. The meaning, running meaning is Savarnihi Suryatanaya. So Savarni is the son of Surya. That means he is of the lineage of the solar dynasty. Savarni Suryatanaya. Yo Manuhu Katyate Ashtama. And he was the 8th Manu. Manu, there are many Manus. Manus are the lawgivers of Hinduism. So he was one of the 8 Manus. Ashtama. Nishamayata Dutpattim Vistarat Gadato Mama. So that one verse itself contains a lot of meaning over there. Now, Surya, Savarnihi Suryatanaya. Surya represents, Surya is sun, represents the principle of fire, Agni. Suryatanaya means one who is born of that principle of fire. What is it that is born of this fire principle? It is in the seed of Ra. See, according to the Sanskrit grammar, or also the Tantra psychology or Tantra Shastra, Ram is the bija or the seed mantra of Agni, or fire. In fact, even in Greek mythology, Ra represents the sun. The sun god is represented by the syllable Ra. Ra comes from this bija seed Ram. So it is the bija mantra of Agni. And in the Savarni, Varni means hook. Varna also means a letter, but Varni also means a hook. Now, so add one of the hook to Ram. Ram, that means you connect, you join with a hook, you join something. So you connect yourself to the divine with Ram. Yo Manuhu Katyate Ashtama. Now, the Ashtama means 8th. There is the 8 letters in Sanskrit. Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sa, Ha. Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sa, Ha. So the 8th is that Ha. You connect the Ra to this Ha. What happens? Ha and Ra. Ha, Ra. And then is the Visarga. Hreem. Hram, Hra and Ha and Ra becomes Hreem. So if you read the Devi Bhagavatam, you will see with this mantra Hreem, this Madhu and Kaitapa were killed. With this mantra Hreem, this Madhu and Kaitapa were destroyed. With that, he was asked to enter into the fire, as it were. So like this, we get a lot of symbolic words or symbolic terms in the Devi Mahatmya or the Devi, the Durga Saptashati, or in Bengali it is called as Sri Chandi. So it is like this. Every chapter has got some significance which is connected to a Bija mantra, which is connected to a seed mantra. And when we use these seed mantras in our sadhana, in our daily life, in our spiritual life, then what it does, it destroys the demons that are waiting within ourselves. We have lots of demons within ourselves, believe it. So all these demons need some tool or some mantra weapon to be destroyed. And these bija mantras are those which are specifically used in Tantra to destroy these different kinds of asuras or different kinds of demons that are within us. So that is where that is why we study this Devi Mahatmya or Devi Bhagavatam, wherein within the stories or within the narratives here and there, you will find these bija mantras or these seeds. And when we chant that, or when we study it, when we meditate upon it, the inner being slowly and slowly evolves, so to say. All the dirt and dust will be removed. That's why I said in the beginning itself, mala. That means this dirt has to be removed. And the dirt has been within us only. As a sattvic person, it has been within us only. And that dirt has to be removed by our own selves. And the tools that we use to remove such or to destroy them are these bijas or the bija mantras.